she's icy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Intense.
It's way. It was, it's very.
Okay. 2 seconds, I'm jotting down some new notes. What would be another word? That's a good one.
Murder.
Yeah, we're in.
Are we started recording now?
One sec.
What is the adjective? Are we trying to do? We're doing synonyms.
No, I'm just thinking of a new way to handle old business introductions. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, great. We've got an agenda. We have an official agenda. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this edition of the Nantucket Historic District Commission. It is March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. Fiona.
Yeah.
I know all of you who are Irish in blood or heart. Fort Fairgrounds Road. Nope, don't need to know that. It's about 4:05 p.m. and this meeting will end no later than 7 p.m. based upon how far we get in our agenda. We may leave earlier. Okay. Let's see. This meeting is being audio video recorded. Anything you say or share will be shown on the town's YouTube. Please act accordingly. Also, the HDC received comments from the public. They are due by 8 a.m. the Monday prior to the respective meeting. The email address is hdcpubliccomment, no spaces, at nantucket-ma.gov. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Okay, great. Let's just do a voice vote. Those at the table. And all in favor say aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. I want to get a sense of shaping things up. We're gonna, well, we'll go ahead with the order of the agenda. So one of the things that is on our agenda is commissioner discussion and vote. And this, I asked staff to please add to the agenda. The topic is definition of demolition, inclusive levels of demolition. And what this is about is I'm actually not anticipating we're going to have a lot of discussion right now, because what I'd like to do is get your support that we request of our professional staff through the planning director to provide a review of what some other, relatively famous Massachusetts historic districts, how they handle demolition fees, demolitions that occur without approvals, anything and everything demolition. And also that, and then report back to us and perhaps even include a recommendation or two that we as a commission would, number one, discuss the materials and review, and then discuss and then vote on. And the other part I wanted to get clarification on is we had voted to receive a definition of demolition from town council. And, with a moment to think about it, it becomes obvious probably to anyone that demolition happens in different levels. You may have demolition that is a portion of a structure. It may be a portion as in an addition. It may be a portion as in a wall. It may be the whole entire structure, so on and so forth. And I realize it's going to be very difficult for an attorney to define demolition unless we gave them a little bit more latitude. So what I wanted to do was introduce both those topics and get a vote, hopefully, of your support to pursue a broader, or not necessarily a broader, but a more granulated definition of demolition through town council based on levels and or any other classification or categorization they want to provide that will help the HDC to perform its functions. It's not that we don't know what a demolition is, but we need legal tenability if something goes to court. So that's what we're looking for. And then again, without repeating myself, is a staff recommendation or review and a recommendation for the commissioner's review and a vote at some point in the future. That would include fee structure, not just how they handle the process, but how they do the fees. Is it a set amount? Is it a percentage of property value? The whole 9 yards. is there anyone who wants to get into discussion now, or can we move forward with an amendment or a motion to support that or to accept that, and we'll get to the business of this evening?
I would make a motion to support the recommendations set forth so far by the chair as far as acquiring information and guidance from town council and what best practices are throughout Massachusetts.
Okay, and then it's not illegal to, it's not a legal binding to staff, but let's just throw in there a time is of essence. Is that fair?
Fair. Yeah.
Okay. Ray, do you you want to second that motion, or you just want to vote?
Well, I don't necessarily need a second. I think, I'd love to be down there in the room. Unfortunately, I'm in Boston right now, as you guys know. So for the time being, until I get back, I would certainly vote in favor of Angus's motion right now.
Okay, well, I just want to be clear. Once we do this, it's out of the gate. So,
Well, Stephen, excuse me for interrupting, but as I understand it, the motion is really simply to move forward with having Holly and the staff, consult with various people and organizations, put together some information for us to review. Is that correct?
and a broader, more granular definition of demolition.
Well, we're not adopting that right now, right? That's not
No,
part of the motion.
No, the motion is to essentially request the services of those two elements, those two
Yeah.
items.
No, so I'm totally in favor of that, Stephen. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I
Yeah.
understood when you said you, for the moment, type of a comment.
Well,
Okay,
for the moment, as in, we're going to get in more information, and we're not closing the book on this. We're really just opening the book on this right now. So,
for
yeah.
certain. Okay, that's great. Okay, and Val's not here, so I would activate, I think Carrie is our longest, is Carrie with us?
Yeah.
Carrie's our longest running alternate. So Carrie, you can vote on this?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's see, on the motion, Angus,
Aye.
Abby, Ray,
Aye.
Carrie,
Aye.
then I'm an aye. Okay, thank you, both. And that actually addresses, both numbers 1 and 2. I'm going to move to consents. Are there any recusals from the regular board present? Including online?
No, not from my perspective.
Okay, great. So why don't we activate Connie, and Connie, any recusals?
No.
I'm just double checking the. Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the consent.
Okay, great. Let's see, on your motion,
Aye.
and Angus,
Aye.
Ray,
Aye.
Connie,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, no consent with conditions. Commissioner Q&A with preservation planner. Does anyone have questions for Holly on the staff comments and recommendations for our historic structures? Okay, Holly, do you want to comment on the CLG, including maybe the meeting, or?
Sure. One, I wanted to give good news. If you didn't see your email yesterday, the MHC funding application that I submitted for a preservation plan for the historic district was accepted by MHC. That is certified local government funding that's allocated from Congress. And I'm very excited to say that we are one of, I think, 4 communities within the Commonwealth for fiscal 26. So that'll be coming down the pipe. And then next thing, we need to narrow down a meeting. We're looking at the week of April 7th, I believe, or 6th, I think that is, that Thursday or Friday, which would be by Zoom. We're looking at 4 o'clock. So I'll probably send an email out to all commissions and make sure that works with everybody's schedule, knowing that the season's getting busy, but that's where we want to narrow that down to.
Cool. Hey, maybe we can try the new poll feature that's in Outlook. Have you seen that?
I have not.
It doesn't send an email to Ray automatically. It allows you to do
I was
like,
gonna say.
it allows you to do surveys. I just saw it in Outlook this morning. Okay. that, we're going to move on to old business of,
Great news about the funding, by the way.
yeah, really,
Just wanted
Holly.
to throw that in there.
Thank you. We're going to go to old business of January 27th. We have 4 items. I want to, this is going to be a new old business thing. I'm going to remind us all, just for the benefit of the group, this is our short night and it can be shorter. All of these applications were originally not on consent and they may be reviewed, have been reviewed more than once. I just want to remind us all, including myself, that we're the authority having jurisdiction. And please keep in mind with your concerns, approvability and consentability. Please, no marbles, molasses, or mischief. And what I mean by that is, please be clear, concise, and clarify side quests at a later date. Okay? So we're going to stick to the topic and move forth with each application. With that said, we are on 7 Orange Street, a new dwelling. Matt, good evening. Your board is myself, Abby, Val, who is not currently here, Joe, Angus, Joe, and your alternate is Connie. So we're going to activate her.
Do you know if Val, is she running late or she's just absent tonight? Do you know?
Yeah.
I'm happy to slide down the line if that's helpful, if she's going to be here shortly. Just to have a consistent board, but your
we could-
discretion.
We can do that. I kind of don't want to get into a lot of that, but how do you feel about, it's your call, but I want to give you the option. How do you feel about proceeding? But if Elle doesn't show up, she can read in.
Perfect.
Do you think this is going to carry over or?
I hope not, but I hope not.
And then that way, what we would do is we could take Connie's comments as kind of a ancillary type of a thing, but not as a. I'm just thinking how we do it at planning board. We don't
I'm
always
fine with that.
activate an alternate.
Fine with that.
Just because if you do that and everyone else does that after you, we're not going to have any.
Fully understand.
Okay.
I'm going to
But you're comfortable with that?
I am. I'm going to grab a prop.
Okay.
Yeah. So with your permission, can.
When you're ready, Matt,
Mr.
please
Chair,
proceed.
thank you. So, so we actually heard this, the beginning of our second time before you last, actually probably like 3 weeks ago or so. It was towards the end of the night. And so I was able to get started, but not finish. So we kind of got cut off halfway through. So I'm going to try to just keep my comments as brief as possible, recap a couple of the key points, and go from there. So first and foremost, we provided in the packet, hopefully everyone's had a chance to review it. There was this lengthy question about whether or not 3/5 facade was appropriate. And so what we did is this graphic just demonstrates that this clearly was a 3/5 configuration. That's one. 2 was just the comparative cross sections of 5 orange and 7 orange. And you can see that 5 orange is both higher and wider in its scale and massing. We also wanted to point out that 5 orange is it's a beautiful piece of architecture and it's made out of brick. And so its presence is dominating just by nature of its material and size. And so we feel that this proposed structure is never going to overshadow it. One of the other element that came up or item that came up was the gambrel next to the gambrel. So we feel strongly, and we've got some, I have a prop here that shows that there was a gambrel, that this structure at 7 Orange was a 3/5 gambrel roof structure. And so one of the most important pieces of this project was to basically restore the pre-1846 fire streetscape, particularly the view looking up Orange and looking down Orange Street. And I brought this framed view. We had a scan of it, but the quality wasn't that great. And so with your permission, feel free to pass it around.
Thanks, Matt.
I feel like most of the comments revolved around those items. We also had some renderings done in the time because we had a couple weeks to spare, if you will. So these renderings just show the proposed dwelling next to 5 Orange. They're pretty accurate. They're a combination of utilizing the 3D scan. And so what I think this demonstrates is that this structure, again, this was the historic view, which it's very important to us and the ownership that we restore that. Building with Nantucket in mind, it's one of its stated goals is to basically restore views prior to the Great Fire of 1846. So with that, I'll just wrap up. These are just some other.
You got an extra minute, man. This is a very important location. I don't want to.
Appreciate that. Yeah, so I'd say that the renderings, I think, speak for themselves. I mean, this is about as hyper realistic as you can get. It's accurate in terms of its 3D point cloud, telephone poles, vegetation, everything. So to me, I feel like this was very, very telling in terms of how this structure, again, returning to what was once there, back to its original state. And I can forward these to you for your records if you want them. But and I think this image is also very telling. I actually think, just again, going back to the 3/5, historically it was there, but I also feel like it feels appropriate in terms of its scale. For what it's worth, we did actually model a 5/5, and it looked so wildly over fenestrated, it just looked wrong. So again, our position is that we've spent a lot of time, effort to restore this to what it was historically. So with that, Mr. Chair, look forward to comments from the board.
Thanks, Matt. Does anyone have any questions on the images Matt has provided before we move on?
I do.
Angus?
So there are 2 views of the original structure there that Matt is referring to. And one of them is maybe from the tower, but it's sort of an aerial view looking down. And it looks like the front portion of the pitched roof is shallower than the gambrel, the brick gambrel at number 5. And then in the other view where it's looking up Orange Street towards the church, it shows the slope coming up and then almost going flat, which seems like something I've never seen before. So I don't know whether that's just the artists sort of not quite getting it right, or if, I don't know. It just seems it's not really reading as a gambrel. But comparing the photograph that's up on the screen now and the renderings that are in the drawing presented, it doesn't look like it's representing that roof plane accurately.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all.
Okay, thanks. Let's see. Anyone else? Matt, I just have one question. The imagery shows relocation of the chimneys to the central ridge axes, and also some owls, as opposed to the imagery in the newspaper article or illustrations that show at least a chimney forward near the front facade, which is similar to the historic structure adjacent to it. So I guess what I just want to find out is what are your thoughts there? This is just a design element that fits the program of the floor plan, and what are the owls, because they look almost like silver in the imagery.
Yeah, to answer your question, so the renderings for some reason show them as silver, but they would be the terracotta color. We thought that they complemented the overall roof composition in tandem with the roof walk. So if there was a desire to either omit the owls or change the chimney detailing to match more accurately that historic hand drawing, we could certainly do that.
Okay, thank you. Oh, and the last comment, just for the benefit of the group, as I thought was interesting, is if we didn't have the 4-inch uncentered baluster rule, the imagery from the newspaper shows how less imposing a roof walk is when the balusters aren't so tightly clustered. Okay. Let's see, who would, your board, I'm just gonna, it's been so long. Myself, Abby, Val, Angus, Joe, and Connie is an alternate.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
you have a hand raised.
okay. Who is it?
Mickey Rowland.
Mickey?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Mickey, sorry.
That's all right. Thanks, Stephen. Okay, so this is Mickey Rowland. I'm representing the Historic Structures Advisory Group, and that's myself, Jason Finger, Mary Bergman, and Marcia Fader. So the question of whether or not this building, the original building in this, or one of the original buildings on this site, was a gambrel seems a pretty critical question mark. And I'm not sure what Matt just shared with you because I can't really see it, if that is convincing or not. But I wanted to, and Matt, I'll need your help with this. Look at an image that's in your application, and it's the first. If you could scroll down to the first historic photographs, there's a pair of them, one left and right. I don't have a number for you. There, no, keep going. Keep going. It's below the Sanford images. There, okay, zoom in on that first historic. There you go. Keep getting a little tighter on the one on the left in particular. Okay, so I'm looking at the roof pitch of the original building, and granted, I think we can all agree that that probably was a 3/5, but I'm looking at the roof pitch of that building. And to me, it's much shallower than the brick gambrel that you see in front of it. In fact, I would say that's probably like an 8 or a 9 pitch from a standard gable roof. Not, if that were to be a gambrel, I'm not sure what the secondary roof pitch would be, because it would have to be very, very shallow for that to work as a gambrel. So that's my comment about whether or not this was originally a gambrel or not. My thinking is it was a gable. And then
Go ahead, Mickey.
so we feel on the HSAG, and I think in general that this new gambrel competes with a historic brick gambrel, and building with Nantucket in mind certainly recommends that gambrels be used sparingly downtown. We think it should stay as a gable. Now, other issues or concerns. The 2-story bay window is not really appropriate on this style of building. There's nothing like it anywhere downtown. The examples that have been introduced show mostly two full 2-story bays that go all the way to the ground. This one is suspended above ground, and it's situated between the floors. It's sort of in an awkward position. The cupola proposed in the back may not be visible. If it is visible, it's probably not appropriate. And then there's the discussion about the 3/5 bay configuration. So granted, the old building was probably a 3/5, but it was also a much simpler Quaker style building. It might be acceptable to replicate the previous design, but this is not really a replication. It's simply borrowing one feature from the old building, yet altering the rest of the details. The proposed building is certainly more complex than a simple Quaker style building. The floor plan can still work with a 5 bay, 5/5 bay configuration. So why not just go with that? And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mickey. Who'd like to begin?
I'll start.
Angus?
So this is the first old business meeting of this. And in the first meeting, there were, if not all, more than not, commissioners had brought up the issue of gambrels being, when you're building new, is to uh, use it carefully in the setting, and to put one next to a historic gambrel really competes with it, and is somewhat unusual. Of all the options, it doesn't seem appropriate. So there hasn't been the response to that. The bay window, there are tons of examples, and thank you for providing them, but none of them are split level or floating like the one that's proposed. And that was brought up before, and that wasn't dealt with. The 3/5 was a concern. Again, I think for most people, it certainly was for me, and that has remained, and I appreciate the evidence that one existed, but I feel like in general on this project that the details are sort of cherry picked of here and there to make an agenda work for this design, and they're unusual things, and not that some of them don't exist at all. There isn't any evidence, like the bay windows, but then other things, like the 3/5, there is documentation that it existed, but unless you're going with the whole rest of the design, it feels like you're just sort of grabbing from here and there. There was also a concern about the massing. Normally the additive massing would be graduated and telescoping out, and the rhythm of the back is not following those guidelines, where it drops and then pops back up again. And the rest are just little details, but I feel like what I've just brought up are major pieces that need to be sorted out before we get into the nitty gritty. Thank you.
Thank you. Ray?
I'm not on it,
Oh,
Stephen.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Abby?
Yeah, I've gone back and forth about the fenestration, but I think my first impression was that it appeared very modern and more, a little bit more suburban, which, I think it's very important that this building is secondary to the brick building. And in that way, it should be simpler. And I think the bay window on the far left could be there, but could be simpler and go down to the ground. What I do like is your choice of colors, and I think that makes it subordinate to the brick. If that you're planning on a dark gray clapboard with sort of maybe hopefully an old-fashioned white trim and black shutters, I think that could make it recede and give credence to the older brick building. I would prefer to see a regular I think the gambrel is a stretch. I'd rather just see a gable building there. The massing in the back, I just don't understand. It looks like 5 different styles. None of them seem to come out of one another. A glass connector seems very odd. And, the up and down, it doesn't have that old-fashioned additive massing. So yeah, I don't mind having additive massing, but it should definitely relate to the simpler main mass. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe?
Yeah, thank you. Well, first, I'd like to say that, and I think I'm speaking for fellow board members here, there's definitely a lot of work that's gone into this presentation and the documentation and the scanning of the adjacent buildings and really putting this in context. So that is greatly appreciated, and the use of our imagination is not as critical on this as it is on other projects. It sounds like I might be in the minority relative to the roof form. I generally agree that, you know, adjacent buildings of the same roof form, we probably don't want to copy. But I do think that the mass of the brick building that's adjacent to this and the fenestration rhythm, and then the material differences in this structure and the fenestration patterning being different, the roof form to me almost becomes somewhat secondary, and the adjacency doesn't feel like they're in competition with each other, because the presence of the brick 5/5 and the width of that, it just has a completely different presence than this structure presents. And I think also, you know, it's worth noting that Orange Street is a very eclectic, especially the beginning of Orange Street, as you come up from Main Street over the hill, there's a wide range of architectural styles here. And for me, that gives me a little bit of, I don't know, I'd say a little bit of creative latitude is permissible potentially, because there are definitely some Victorian elements that are on this building, including the bays, I think you could argue, and the way the chimneys are treated, and certainly the whole addition off the rear is atypical, but it reads more like a folly that's connected to the building than traditional massing, and there certainly are examples of that. I don't disagree that it feels like three different pieces in a way, but I don't know if we should be thinking of it as typical additive massing, because a gambrel, I think, sort of stands on its own. And I don't know how many examples there are of additive massing off the back of a gambrel, but it seems to me it's more common with a gable roofed structure. So I do think that it gives you a little bit of flexibility to reinterpret the rear L. If I were to comment on some of the individual details, I think a paring down of some of the fanciful elements would work for me. But fundamentally, I feel like it fits in with the character of Orange Street, and I think it enhances this sequence from Main Street heading out of town. I think for me it boils down to some details. Those are my comments. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe. Connie, I'm going to have you speak in case you're activated on this, that Val doesn't read in. And I think it'd be valuable for Matt to have that information.
Okay. First off, thank you, Matt, for that historic photo. I think it adds great context. I don't have a lot to add, but I think I'm more in agreement with Joe about the gambrel. I think that I live on Orange, and that the brick grim, that it catches your eye. I don't think, you know, I know that building with Nantucket kind of frowns upon it, but and I I don't really have a concern about the windows. I understand the telescoping in the back, but I think, I do think that glass enclosure, as Joe might have mentioned, is more of a folly than anything else. Maybe the cupola could go. That might be just a little bit overdone. And I don't know. I see that we went to 2 chimneys as opposed to 4 in the historic. I mean, that might be a nice added feature to bring the 4 back. But yeah, I really, I don't really have as much of an issue with it, I think.
Thank you, Connie.
Thank you.
So I think that leaves me, Matt. So when we first reviewed this, the thing that kind of really slapped me in the face was the sense of the proportions of the mass of the structure. So for me, I definitely want to review that more thoroughly. I still have some concerns with that. I think the fenestration has been established along the lines of the other one is that is a concern is the cupola. Fenestration, I think we've established the historic reference is accurate. Now the details are open for question, so that's obviously discussion point. That segues, the fenestration segues into patterning. Joe had commented on this in the materials. I would think a little differently about this. The other side of the coin of it's not competing is it contrasts. And I think that it contrasts sufficiently enough that it is not competing and that it actually looks like it could fit in place, subject to my prior comments about mass and the cupola. I also, I've seen illustrations in doing research where, and I think we actually have one handy somewhere. I'm going to try and put my hands on it. A print where the pre-Great Fire illustrations indicate on Main Street, essentially 4-story gambrels were common. 3 full stories and the 4th story being in what we would commonly refer to as the attic space under the gambrel cords. So I'm a little, I think if we're going to rely on historical records, we need to be, which, we need to be open to the entirety of the history. The other element is that, where I'm of 2 minds is, for instance, the 3 bricks. Now, the 3 bricks are 3 structures in a row. Now, there's a story to that. But on the other hand, if you were to add a structure here that was closely resembled the historic gambrel, how does that fit in? It's not the same type of a story. There's a huge temporal gap there. But at the same time, in 50, 100 years, what story will be told of this structure? So that's where I'm of 2 minds. I'm kind of wrestling with that. Let's see. The eclectic elements, I think I would refer my colleagues to please look around Pine and Ray's Court. And there's a variety of these areas where you're going to see, in addition to Orange Street, where there is kind of a mishmash of styles. But on the front of the structures, you see this kind of an eclectic mishmash. So I think it's there. I'm not necessarily, by saying that, I'm not necessarily saying I believe this is exactly perfect as it is in terms of approvable. But I think there is room, some latitude there. For me, it's going to come down to the massing. It's going to come down to no cupola. It's going to come down to being very careful about what are the floor heights. Is there a grade change? What are the retainage? So that we don't have a structure that we think is one thing and through no fault of yours, but we get caught up in some details, is a little closer to the property line than we thought, is a little taller than we thought. And the combination of those two is a dramatic departure from what we all anticipated. So those are kind of my focus points. And
if I could just briefly through you, Mr. Chair, so with the 3D scan, and if you look at the images that show the proposed design superimposed into the 3D point cloud model, it actually has, that's existing grading today. So you can really see exactly where that finished floor elevation is, which is not, we would probably take additional measures to show you, but it is a kind of a real world, like here, this actually works. I was kind of surprised, like it didn't require us regrading any of that existing site at all And when you can see when we plop that thing in, it fits perfectly. And then just one final thing about the bay. I think you're totally right. You know, if this was built at one period and then locked in a time capsule, it would be of like one style. But I think that these bays that we highlighted in the supplemental historic information, what they show specifically on this top row is that the bays were added. They were, you could characterize the bay as a Victorian bay, if you will, that was added on to a non-Victorian structure. So if you look at the top row, the ones on Orange Street and kind of this, the one even on Union Street, you can see that the original structures themselves were not of Victorian elements, but they were added, which we think adds to this layering effect. So I totally understand the points that were made, but that was where we were coming from. So with that, I appreciate the board's comments and review.
Right. So Matt, I think, you have Val's prior comments. She may mull in on this. And my suggestion is we're clearly going towards revisions.
Yes.
I do believe that once we get to, I think this is an important enough structure in an important enough location that I would suggest to the group that wherever we land as a consensus, that Matt, you would be bringing in renderings from across these 3-point cloud renderings from across the street from the different angles you have of what it is that we are, it will be one extra step before we sign off, almost as though we're looking at elevations for a last time, so that we have a really clear understanding of what it is we would be approving.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So this one that's up on the screen right now, so that existing grass is the point cloud. So that is the existing grade, believe it or not, which I was pleasantly surprised because usually there's some level of like plus or minus 6 inches. But so that topo is literally the point cloud of the existing conditions.
So this is what I would suggest we're looking for when we get to the consensus revision, that we're all in terms of a majority or all members, whatever it turns out to be, feel reasonably comfortable with. And then we get the point cloud for all of them. And then it brings up an interesting concept, right? Here we have a photorealistic image that the HDC inspector can go out and inspect.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't match, then it's on the builder.
And you can see on the deck, you can see all the grass actually.
So I think it's an interesting concept to be utilizing this. And when the technology is more widely utilized by designers and architects, we can actually use it as not only an approval tool, but a compliance tool.
Can I ask him one?
Yeah, please.
Through you. I wanted to know what your intent was. What was the style that you were going for? Was it like a Victorian colonial, or what was the especially on the main mass?
So through you, Mr. Chair, the primary basis was literally replacing what we believed was there. Now we can't do it exactly, but in terms of the facade is take all the historic information we've had, transcripts, whatever, and utilize that as our basis. And as far as the rear telescoping pieces, again, this is probably too much information, but our idea was that there was this freestanding structure here with this Belvedere. This shot in particular, again, you would never have this perspective, but you can see that the church spire in the distance is somewhat emulative of what we tried to propose. And then at some point in history that these two structures were connected with this orangerie. So again, probably a little bit too much information. But the primary basis of this design was a historic recreation of what was there prior to 1846.
Good. Matt, I just want to reiterate one thing. I, as a preference, I would prefer to see the Robinson's Victorian cottage. I think I was pretty clear about that to begin with, but I'm not here to state my preference. I'm here to look at what is, be it atypical or not, if it's approvable. But I just want to be clear. I would prefer that it be a different structure. Can we get a motion to hold for revisions? And I think that's it.
Yeah, so moved.
Okay. We're here.
Thank you.
Joe, on your motion, Abby,
Aye.
Angus,
Aye.
Connie,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So
You all
you've been
very much.
activated
Thank you, Matt.
by- You're voting, so you're going to sit on this. And if for some reason Val needs to activate, she would activate after that. Like say you're going to be absent or something.
Okay.
Okay, just to be clear, Connie will be sitting on this. She voted. Okay, I forgot at planning board, we usually don't vote as alternates so that they can activate someone. Okay, anyways, let's move on to Mr. Acting Chair, Raymond Paul.
Here I am. Thank you, Stephen, Mr. Chair. Let's see. Everyone is live on this application for 85 Vestal Street with the exception of myself. We have myself.
Hey, guys, the chair's talking.
I
think he disappeared.
He muted
Oh.
himself.
Angus and Connie.
Ray,
Um,
you can say that again.
Oh, can you guys not hear me?
We
Can you hear me now?
You cut off for a second.
Oh, okay. So let's see. I was just announcing the board and it looks like we have Uri and someone else at the mic over there. So,
It's Natalie
Uh,
Kaufman.
okay,
Expert attorney here.
very good. Okay, so let's proceed. This is for a new dwelling at 85 Vestal Street. And as I said at the beginning of the last meeting, what I'm hoping to accomplish with this is that we are voting and opining on the design of the main house right now. So with that, let's hear from our applicant.
First I would just ask, because Val isn't here, if we can do sort of a similar setup to what Commissioner Welch suggested earlier.
Well, Val's not
Val's
sitting
not
on
on
this.
this, my mistake. So I'm Natalie Kaufman with Reed Gullickson Hanley and Gifford counsel for the homeowner. And I have Uri Bencat and Lindsay Congleton here. And the homeowner is on Zoom if you have any questions for him.
Very good.
Thank you. So we're here to talk about the main house, and we do believe that the options A, B, and C we submitted are all should be deemed appropriate, but based on staff comments, I will only talk about option A. In option A, we removed the west wing entirely. The driveway and parking area were significantly reduced and relocated to the west side of the property, and we increased the vegetative screening around towards Vestal. Of our own accord, we eliminated the shed to reduce overall site density, and the landscaping and hardscaping were revised accordingly. We did want to comment that while we're willing to remove the left massing to finally move forward with this project and break ground, if option A is approved, we do intend to come back and apply for an addition later on. That of course can be rejected, and it doesn't change the plans before you, nor the standard at which they were reviewed. We just wanted to be transparent in that regard. Our designs are not incongruous to the historic aspects of the surrounding. Many houses in this area of Vestal Street were built after 2000, and only a handful were built pre-1980. Our design borrowed heavily from 89 Vestal, right next door. The main dwelling there was approved in 2005. The only distinguishing factor of record for those two lots is the size. And that's not really relevant because the programming we're talking about is concentrated towards Vestal on 89 Vestal and parallel with our proposed designs. Additionally, our design would be less visible from Duke's than 89 currently is. It's a much more imposing structure, tall retaining walls. And the large main house and garage at 89 Vestal take up nearly the whole width of the property from Vestal Street, which is a comment that we got in the prior meeting. So while there may be details to refine, according to the staff comments, it would be arbitrary and capricious to deny our application when a larger, more imposing structure was approved right next door, similarly situated on a similar lot over 20 years ago. So thank you.
Okay, Natalie, thank you. That's a good overview. Let's see, is there
There isn't a
anyone?
butter here. You can't see me, but there's a butter.
I know the voice. So hello, Linda. Go ahead.
Can't hide it. Even small children on the phone know my voice. As far as their reference to 89, that was inappropriate. We have a much larger lot that goes all the way from Duke's, from Duke's all the way up to Vestal. We have a much larger lot. The house was built a long time ago. It's not that imposing. It's just a simple house from the Vestal Road side. There is a substantial amount of retaining, which this board approved on the Duke's Road side. But as I say, the thing goes all the way down to Duke's Road. This lot does not. It's not anywhere near the same size as our lot. These were subdivision lots. They're two smaller lots. And our position all along is that it's 20 pounds of potatoes in a 10-pound sack. Now, we do appreciate the fact that the width of this structure has been reduced. We still don't know. It's very difficult to read this online. It fades away as usual. I don't know until we get to the hardscape exactly what's happening with that driveway, which was a real concern for you guys at the time because it spread across the whole front of the structure. A lot of the complaints about it, and I appreciate that it's moved farther away from the 89, but a lot of the concerns were related to that quasi cottage, the pool, the amount of grading that has to take place to actually have a plateau, since it also drops off towards Duke's Road. The
Hey,
abutter
Linda.
below it.
Linda.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it succinct, okay?
Okay,
Because
the
now
abutter
we're
below is still concerned about all the grading and all the grade changes. And we did ask, you guys did ask at one point for a very specific section of grading. And it still looks like there's a lot of grading taking place, even though they may be dropping down to the pool. So there are still a lot of changes being made to the lot that is not in context with the neighborhood, at least the surrounding ones.
Okay.
So there's still a lot of concern.
All right. So to be clear, Linda, I don't know whether you stated this up front, but you are representing the neighbor at 89 Vestal, correct?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
And they're very simple structures up from the Vestal Road side.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, is there anyone else either live or on Zoom that wants to speak on this application before it goes to the board members?
I have to point out, Mr. Chairman, this is like the 10th time it's been in here.
I
9th or 10th time.
don't think you need to point that out to anyone. Thank you, Linda.
Mr.
Yes,
Chair,
Kathy.
Amanda Lovejoy has her hand raised.
Amanda Lovejoy, okay.
I'm asking her to unmute.
Can I ask the chair something in the meantime? Before Ray?
Yeah, go ahead, Abby.
I just wanted to know, I thought we were talking about the main house and not
Yeah.
the whole site. Is that true?
We are. I mean, that's why I interjected when Linda went off and started talking about the lower buildings. But yes, I would like to concentrate the discussion on the main house design, yes. Do we have Amanda on?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
This is Amanda's husband, Ted. I'm on her Zoom, apologize.
Got it.
Yeah, no, I guess I'm the abutter down at 34 Dukes just below. I appreciate the revisions to make this main house smaller, so I just want to acknowledge that. But I just say the same concerns about grading exists, the significant slope of the grade, the overall program. I won't comment on that further because I know that's outside of what we're focusing on now, but again, it's a lot of program and a lot of grade change, and I'm not sure that's been fully vetted out. So I just re-emphasize the same concerns we've had in the past.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Ted. Anyone else?
No, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Okay, so once again, board is myself, Abby, Angus, and Connie. Who would like to begin?
I can start with us. I've got something just very simple to say.
Sure.
Okay, so thank you. I appreciate the change in scale enormously. I think it fits in. In fact, I hope I'm looking at the right drawing because this can happen. I get screwed up here. But on this proposed, the hip roof, I'm just wondering if that could be filled in just on the first floor, just to give it a little more balance. Do you want me to point out where I'm talking about, or is it?
Yeah.
You need the elevations.
I would like to see the elevations, Fiona, if that's possible.
Just there. If that were, that right now it's a hip roof over a porch.
Yeah.
I think if that was
Yes.
filled in, it would give that house some balance and hold up that right-hand side. But I appreciate the change and the modification and the scale. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Abby. Who's next?
I can go. It's Connie, right?
Connie, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I appreciate the different views that you've given us, A, B, and C. My concern, I agree with Abby about filling that in, but, and I also appreciate the change in the landscaping with the parking and the different landscaping. That's a plus. My concern is what you said, that if we do approve A, that you will be back for an addition. I guess we can obviously reject that, but that's just a little disconcerting to me that, you know, we're saying that this is approvable, that this is appropriate, and then you're saying, well, we aren't going to be happy with it, so we'll be back. But that's really all I have to say about the main house. Thank you.
Connie, thank you. Angus, that leaves you.
Okay, so I appreciate the loss of the extra mass on the west side, and I think that the volume is much easier to approve in this setting and location with the drive coming in at that lower elevation. As kind of related to what my fellow board members have discussed about the porch and having some sort of mass to balance out the wraparound porch on that west side. I think part of what makes that more visible and sort of stands out is just the amount of parking on that side. It's 4 spaces plus the turnout. So it kind of opens up a wide vista to be able to view that west elevation, which would also be a concern with any sort of future proposal. But as submitted, I think it's more sensitive to the site certainly than what we've seen. And the only thing that I would recommend is that detail of slipping the head casing into the eave just to reduce the height a little bit. And also the front door, I'm seeing a dimension of 8 feet, and that seems out of proportion of typical simple construction like this. So I would want that reduced a foot, and accordingly to bring the windows and the porch down with. I guess what it would really mean is bringing everything down, losing a foot in the lower where the floor system is, losing a foot, so that would be an 7-foot dimension. It just adds sort of an irregular proportion of shingles below the windows, and just makes the door feel too high. Thank you.
Angus, thank you very much. Fiona, would it be possible to put the south elevation up so that I can see what Angus was just referring to? Oh, I see. So that's an 8-foot tall door dimensioned that way. Got it. Okay. Yeah. So now I see that the porch is high, the 8-foot. Okay. So my thoughts on this are, I appreciate the removal of the west wing, and I also appreciate the applicant's candor in saying, they retain the right to come back. I think that that's fair. Any applicant, can walk out the door and either tell you or not tell you that you might be hearing from them again. And I just think that in this case, the applicant is being upfront and transparent about it. And I do believe that, as I have watched this thing proceed, the grading was a major issue. Grading and access into the site with the drive was a major issue. They've rectified that, but I think that, it all took some doing to get there. So I feel like, we all have this kind of bias in terms of like how long it took us to get here. However, we're here, and I think that this house design is totally, completely acceptable in its context on Vestal Street. I certainly wouldn't mind taking up Angus's suggestion to drop down an 8-foot high door, which I think we can all admit is quite a tall door. The idea of tucking the windows under the eave is good. The dropping of the porch. So all of those things, which I feel like are relatively minor changes, would be icing on the cake for me, because I think that this is really approvable the way it is. I appreciate the grading. I appreciate where we happen to be right now. So I don't know. It sounds like we might have lift off here. I'm just going to see what the other board members have to say.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I was just looking at the fenestration. I was looking at the C windows on the main mass. There are some B windows to the right side.
Yeah.
The C windows to me seem, especially on the first floor, seem a little small. This is really picayune, but.
Well, I actually agree, Abby.
Okay, so, and the other thing was my suggestion of filling in that hip roof. That hip roof's going to come down. I think it would give it some symmetry and some balance, but.
I didn't quite understand. So does that mean you just want to like fill in with interior space what is now air underneath the porch?
Right.
Well, I would have no objection to that, and I think the applicant would like that because it's giving them some more space on the first floor.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Let's see, is that Natalie?
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks. Yep.
On the other options that we did, there are some different versions that show you what we're talking about. We're interested in option B. I take it from your comments that you have not considered that, but in terms of the sort of details that you're talking about, the other options do have different versions of these.
Well, I don't mind taking a look. Board members?
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at option A.
Well, yeah, I can only look at option A because I'm on Zoom right now.
Where's your whole list?
Natalie, would it be fair to say that one of the options fills in the porch in a way that Abby's describing?
No.
Yeah, Uriah's going to share his screen right now.
Okay.
But connect with.
Yeah. Stand by.
All right.
Just need to connect to Zoom. It's not slow. Yeah.
Are you looking, so are we looking at option B? Is,
Yes, option B, and then there is option C.
Oh, you're doing first.
This is the zoom, right?
Uri, are you screen sharing?
it's loading.
Yeah, I'm connecting to Zoom.
It's here.
He's connecting right now, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Take some
Oh,
time.
no, I don't want that.
Okay. It's a separate file.
No, that has to go.
Because I have to go back to this.
We need to streamline this process.
Yeah, in the packet.
Thank goodness that Kathy doesn't have the timer going.
317.
Back to the original size.
But
There we go.
Fiona, that's your screen right there.
Okay, now I need to share.
Mr. Chair, in the meantime,
Yeah.
I was able to bring up option B and it's back to being way too large and
Yeah.
taking up the
Well,
space.
then
It's not,
I don't, we
it's not
shouldn't
what-
be wasting time on this then.
I know, so I would
It's
just go,
sharing.
I'm,
It's there, right? Yeah, it's this option which the house is shifted away from the 89.
Well, the house looks big again.
Yep.
yeah.
It's,
Why on earth would we do that if we had the choice of option A?
to
Listen, all
show
Abby
the
was asking
small-
for, Uri, with all due respect, all Abby wanted to do is fill in under the porch, not add the addition back on. Yeah, no. I want to go back to A. I don't think you're going to get any mileage with that, Uri. Okay. Am I speaking out of turn, folks? Do we all agree, having seen this little bit of option B, that A is preferable?
I
Perhaps-
think you're reading the room quite well without being in it.
Okay, I could feel it all the way in Boston. So look, let's go back to A. And so Angus had some positive modifications that weren't too onerous. Abby had some positive modifications that weren't too onerous. I would really like to proceed here, knowing that we have a 4-person board that have, basically are, just about as tired as you guys are at coming back, with revision after revision. So board members, do you think you could offer up some suggestions to get this thing over the finish line for me?
Well, I mean, I could make I think we're pretty specific about our revisions. So
Yeah.
I think it's a little too much to do for an exhibit A. So I'd make the motion for the revisions to include losing a foot between the first and second floor so that the front door is 7 feet high and the porch is reduced in height by a foot. That the second floor window heads are tucked underneath the eave is sort of the typical detail that we do. And the C windows on the first floor are to be the size of the B windows that are adjacent to the right. And the last thing, I'm not quite sure. We could leave it up to the applicant to fill in on the west side of the porch as they like. But I think the issue is sort of that looking through the porch to the backs or the basement stairwell is visually an issue. Sorry,
Right.
that was a rambling motion, but
And I do want to second your motion for the sake of just throwing in a few things. So Abby had also mentioned about the height, the size of the windows getting larger, which I was very much in favor of. Unless somebody has a specific objection to the height overall of this building, I'm not sure that we need to lose a foot out of the height in order to get the windows and doors to 7 feet on the first floor, drop the porch, and still have things look good. I think that might be, you know, an onerous restriction being placed on the building, you know, that's unnecessary in order to achieve your goals, Angus, if you know what I'm saying.
that's an improvement on the motion. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Who's that?
me, Connie.
Connie, yes, please.
I was just reading through Holly's notes, but I don't know if this would help if it wasn't a wraparound porch. Would that remove that?
Well, I think that the wraparound porch is a good idea for just the reason that Abby is suggesting, which is to sort of get a balance going. If we chop the porch off on that side, I think that it actually breaks up the western facade, which otherwise would just be a 2-story, you know, full-on wall.
I just wasn't sure if it was going to eliminate that part on the south elevation, but I don't know.
I think that filling part of that part or all of that in would be a solution that would rectify or take care of Abby's concern.
Okay.
All right. Now, listen, folks, thank you for the motion. I want to be clear, I think mainly to the board members that, you know, when this comes in next time, and if the applicant has fulfilled those requests of ours, this should be an approval. Do we all agree?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, then I'm going to entertain the motion. So on that motion, Angus, on your motion?
Aye.
Thank you. Connie?
Aye.
Abby?
Aye.
And I'm in favor. Okay, guys, you have a very specific list of some relatively minor things to take care of, and you'll have your approval the next time we meet. Okay?
Thank you,
Now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are we tracking the other?
Not that other one.
Well, here we are. I mean, should we look at the guest house? It's a slightly different board. Let's see, it's myself again sharing, Stephen's on this one, Abby, Angus, and Connie. So same board, only with Stephen. So what do we want to do?
Mr. Chair, I just via knee jerk said yes, but I think it might be beneficial for everyone just to cross our T's, dot our I's on this structure and move forward if it can be resolved. You know, if there are any modifications that aren't exhibit A-able, we can have it this property completed by the next meeting. At the next meeting.
Are you suggesting, Stephen, that we just review the guest house at the next meeting?
No.
You're saying review it now?
I think so.
Yeah.
But I'm
All
sorry,
right,
Val
then-
broke
then-
out
then
Girl
we
Scout
can-
cookies.
Okay, that I totally get it. So we can review it, come up with another specific list of things, requirements for the approval, and get this behind us. Okay,
Yes.
got it. All right, let's go then.
Okay, so I'm sharing the screen with the changes we did to the guest house, which, assuming the site plan that we talked about with the main house is not changing, the guest house is shifted to be about 104 feet from Vestal Road now. And I did changes to overall height, which the height went down by 1.5 feet, 1 foot 7 inches to 21 feet of the main ridge, and push both dormers to be stepped in so they don't read as before flush, and make the guest house feel overall not as vertical, have the side little roofs more aligned with the whole architecture of the house, and made it feel smaller. That's what I think had the biggest issues with, being too vertical and too big. So this should take care of it.
Okay. All right, Uri, thank
More
you.
elevations.
Yep, okay, thank you.
Neighbors?
Yes, Linda, go.
It's again, like we went through with the house 10 times, 9 times. It's a death by 1,000 cuts. This is still too much. It's still too bloated. It is still too tall. And the foundation from Duke's Road is still too high out of the ground, which makes this thing look humongous from Duke's Road. It's really not much changed. They fooled around with the dormer. They expanded, I guess, that first floor wart, which really doesn't help it. But basically, as with the other house, it's essentially the same structure. You track this for a while, and so you haven't seen this necessarily to make comments about it as many times as you did on the house because you were so concentrated there. But this isn't any better. This is still manipulating the grade. You can see it from their own drawings. And it's still exposing that foundation, huge foundation from Duke's Road. You will not hide this structure. The other one being a little bit closer to Vestal, it may minimize the height of that other structure. As I said, we appreciate the reduction in the massing, and we'll be here to fight it when they come back. But it's just too much. It's too bloated. It's just too much. And too tall, too vertical. I mean, they can play with that dormer and drop the eave all they want. It is still basically only 1 foot difference from what it was before. It's at a lower elevation, which had to be flattened out, but not to the extent where that foundation is not hidden from down below. And they have to rip all that screening, that's the scrub that's there between there and Duke's. And the guy below it is going to looking at this looming thing right over the top, actually closer to him, right over the top of him. So it needs to be, in our opinion, subdued, made into a smaller structure, a shorter structure, and that's pretty much where we are with this.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Kathy, anyone else?
No, Mr. Chair, no one's in the audience or has their hand raised.
Okay, so Ted Lovejoy is not on.
They're there, but they don't have their hand. Oh,
Okay.
He does now.
Oh,
Oh.
too soon. Stand by. Go ahead and unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I frankly, I was going to reserve my comments for later. It's going to come back. For me, this needs to be evaluated within the context of the rest of the program. If the pool is not approved, which I don't think is on within scope, this guest house is just floating in the middle of the hill in a very disconnected way. And then as my neighbor said, it's going to be very steep grade. So there's going to be a lot of land movement that has to happen to build this guest house where it is. So to me, this guest house needs to be viewed in the context of the overall program. And what I've heard from this board, at least, is the program is just too much. So I struggle to see how this guest house fits in to the concerns that the board has expressed in the past.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ted. Well, let me make sure, Stephen, that was you, right?
Yes.
Let me make sure Ted is finished, right?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
Yeah,
very
I'm
good. Stephen, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go where you'd go is I think contemporaneously, let's open up the hardscape. For me, I want to be looking at the grade settings, maybe where there are some modifications that can be made in a couple of different ways, but that allows us to see the bigger picture and act on it.
I think that's probably a good idea. So,
As long as we reserve the right to comment on the hardscape because it's a separate application.
oh, yeah. No, of course you can. All right, so Stephen, following from that, do you want them to do their presentation for the hardscape?
Well, I was hoping maybe what we could do is just like for me, I want to see the site plan and I want to see the topographical information. I presume that'll be in the hardscape and the hardscape will show the location of the proposed structure we're reviewing. It's not so much to review every detail of the hardscape, but so we have the context and
Got
we
it.
have the information in front of us so we can say, we want to see something different.
Mhm.
And if I may, I would begin because that's kind of how I want to approach it. So I could show you by example what it is I'm trying to accomplish.
Mr. Chair, just clarifying for the record, is I thought Commissioner Welch was chairing this matter. Is it still Commissioner Pohl?
Well, according to the sheet that I have, it says acting chair, me. So I don't know the answer to that.
I guess I would say I don't either at this moment because I'm just looking at the agenda and it's been a while since we've been on this.
I can clarify, excuse me, I don't know the meeting that it was at, but the first time it was heard, Ray was here and you said to Ray, why don't you just continue to chair it?
Yes.
And you'll, so that's where that is.
Thank you. And we also wanted to, you had commented on the hardscape. We did bring up sort of an overview if that's what you're looking for.
Perfect.
So thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Stephen, do you want to continue? I'm looking at the hardscape plan on the screen right now. Is that where you wanted to be?
Yeah, and I'm gonna, Connie has a couple of quick questions for the benefit of the group before we start, if that's okay through you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, okay. So Connie, go ahead.
Has the sheds been removed?
The shed's through chair, Mr. Chair, the shed's not on this.
Got it.
It says,
That's the cabana off to the right. That's the guest house.
it says proposed shed on what I'm looking at.
There's no shed on the one on the screen, like over
Yeah,
there.
or what I brought up on my tablet for the pool, I have proposed shed, proposed guest house, pool with a, and then in the back says
Well,
proposed shed.
through
I don't
Mr.
even see a cabana.
Through Mr. Chair, this is the guest house, this is in the guest house application. So that's what we've pulled up as the hardscape for the guest house.
Okay, so Connie, may I?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, may I?
Yeah,
I
please.
guess what I want to get clarification on, so we have full context, is the contextual elements. Is there a shed or a cabana or some other structure
No other structure.
Yeah.
being proposed?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Only what you see on the screen now.
Okay, got it.
You're good with that?
Yes, thank you.
We appreciate the clarification. Okay, so for me, the downhill side, I think that the structure itself is appropriate. I think the exposure on the downhill side is not appropriate. It's high on the hill. It's going to be perhaps visible unless there's screening up close to the structure, but that's not really going to hide the fact that a large amount of the facade is exposed, almost as if it was in a FEMA zone where the basement and crawl space, so the finished floor is atypically higher above grade than would be a normal residence in this area. So for me, what I would like to see is that the let's call it the plateau as opposed, or a platform where the pool is and where the primary entry to this structure, the guest cottages, be lowered by at least a couple of feet by adding steps from the home down to the platform area or the plateau that's being created, so that the structure of the guest house can be lowered relative to the surrounding grade on the downhill side. So basically, if you lower the plateau 2 feet, you're going to have less of the structure showing on the backside.
Stephen?
Yeah.
Just I understand what you're saying, and by way of clarification, so right now, the retainage between the upper level where the main house is and the lower level or the middle level where the pool is a difference of 2.5 feet. You're proposing that become taller, correct?
The transition from the main house to the pool, and then the second part of this, because otherwise you're just lowering the platform, but the relationship of the grade on the downhill side is the same, is that you would be setting on the backside, you would also have retainage, but it wouldn't be visible from Duke's. So you're basically setting this into, you're lowering the platform. How do I say this?
Yeah, I understand what you are
You're
suggesting.
basically on the downhill side of the existing proposed, the point at which, the height at which this would terminate, say 5 feet from the structure, isn't going to change. You're going to lower the whole thing 2 feet, and then you're in that slope is still going to be there. And you'll have retainage on the inside at the rear. So you basically, you're hiding the fact that this structure still has to be a little bit higher on the back than in the front. Not higher in the back than the front, relative to the slope.
Okay.
Does that, Ray, I know there's probably a more succinct way to say that, but it's been a long day. So
Yeah.
if you want to take a
In our
stab at it,
hardscape
or
plan, we do have a screening plan in place, which would minimize any view from Duke's Road.
I think the topography needs to be modified to make that more effective, so it doesn't look like you've just got plant material kind of stuck on the slope.
Yeah.
And how you do that is you first of all lower the structure so it's not as imposing overall, and then two, you also don't lower the rear side of the slope. You put some retainage on the inside area, and that allows the house and the pool to be lower down, but not to appear to be sitting on the top of a slope, sticking out of it, protruding like a cupola or something. Make sense? Okay. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay, very good, Stephen. I was going to suggest that if your comments had concluded, we go around and talk to the rest of the board members. So I would like to hear from the remaining 3 members.
I'm happy to go.
4, including me. Yes, Angus, please, go ahead.
So, yeah, to Stephen's point, right now, existing grade to ridge is almost exactly the same for the guest house as it is for the main house. Just because it's raised so far out of the ground for a plateau for the program of the pool and so forth. And I guess my succinct way of doing this is to if you look at page 13, where there's a section.
Are we going there now? 13?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
This one?
Who's
Yeah, and then
driving?
sort of zoom in on the main house. So you see the main house directly below the ridge. The grade is at the more typical location, about 8 inches below or 10 inches below the bottom of the joist. I would say that the guest house would be much more appropriate if it had the same sort of relation to natural existing grade. And
Got it.
my guess is that's going to be more like somewhere between 4 and 6 feet rather than 2 feet. But I think that that's what works with the existing topography. Obviously, we're talking about developing on a hillside. So the south side is obviously going to have a lot less exposure than the north side. But to take sort of the middle of the house and have the regular sort of orientation to the ground is going to make this appropriate. Thank you.
Okay, Angus, thanks for clarifying. Excuse me. I think we have Abby and Connie.
So on the guest cottage, I'm not opposed to a guest cottage, but the one that's proposed appears too tall. And I think the flush dormers are just, not appropriate.
Abby?
Proposed are not flush, they are step back.
Okay.
Yeah, they changed
Okay,
that.
sorry,
They were
sorry,
flush and now they're
Sorry,
not.
I take that back.
Okay.
Take that back. But the west side, I think it's overglazed with two different size French doors. For the hardscaping, I think it's far too much hardscaping, and I would consider, instead of doing, I think one of the problems is this pool. Have you considered just doing something like a plunge pool, like 15 by 15, and pull it right in to the corner of the main house and the guest cottage, so that you don't have to deal with changing the natural slope of the hill? Just reduce your agenda by half and go with the natural landscape. I think this is where things are going. Just getting like too much manipulation of the land.
Okay.
So those are my thoughts. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you. Connie?
So on the guest house, I didn't know if there was any way you could bring the exterior stairs interior. I don't know if that'll probably mess up the interior programming, but they do face Vestal, especially the way the house is positioned. And for the pool, I just maybe reduce the bluestones by a couple bluestone feet, I think would be appropriate. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I clarify that this is for the guest house and we do have a separate poolscape application?
Well, this is Natalie, right?
Yes, this is
Yeah.
Natalie Kaufman.
And I'm sorry, I'm zooming and having to ask you that question every time. Natalie, I was going to clarify, because there are comments that have been made on the landscape, which officially is not being heard. We're doing the guest house, but as Stephen pointed out earlier, his comments, and frankly, the comments of everyone really, including mine, are having to do with the grading, which of course does affect the landscape and the height of the pool. So I would just, for you as the applicant, hold in reserve what comments have been made about the pool and the terrace and all that sort of thing. But, the focus right now is going to be on the guest house. And just to tie a bow around this, it sounds to me like, of a 4-person board, all of the members, including myself, feel like the most important aspect of the guest house, or the most concerning aspect of the guest house, is actually what we're looking at right now in the section, which is it's the elevation of the first floor above the existing grade is so much higher than the averaged grade that we just reviewed and almost approved for the main house. You have a clear cut and fill situation going on with the main house. That works. Everyone seems generally satisfied with it. But when you get down to the guest house, it's not a cut and fill situation. It's a fill and fill more situation. So I think that is the focus of the concern. Some other things were said about the amount of glazing and, interior stair, that kind of thing. I will leave it to you folks to decide, how or if to address those particular concerns. But the universal concern had to do with the height of this building, first floor above the existing grade. So have we concluded the discussion?
I have a couple quick comments.
Go ahead, Stephen.
I agree with everything that's been said, especially with respect to the existing grade manipulation. I think there's room for modification more generally, and nothing reflected on the current designer, but the art of split level structures is lost, it seems, on Nantucket. I've been in, I don't know, thousands of structures here as part of my other career. And walking in and seeing how, even 15, 20 years ago and well earlier, split levels were utilized to address and manipulate grade functionality by modifying the interior space. They're incredibly interesting structures. They're functional. I know ranches are the first floor living is a big thing, but my point is that if I said all that to say that if a structure is going to be constructed for the convenience of the occupants and grade needs to be manipulated as a result, for instance, because it is not a split level, then I think that it's incumbent upon an applicant to address the concerns, material concerns of the commission on grade. I would like to see this more specifically lowered by at least 3 feet. And when I say by 3 feet, now that we have the section in front of us, I'm looking at from the exit point of the porch of the main house, lower, transition the grade down the steps that they've shown by adding additional steps, however they want to do it. It's not going to be visible from the street, such that the platform that the pool coping is at is lowered at the front end, I would say below the existing grade, so that there's a total of 2.5 to 3 feet lowering from left to right on the section. And that would allow the house and the pool to be lowered to the grade that's shown at 30-foot 10 3/4. And then there would be no manipulation required with retainage on the backside. So I'd strike my prior comment. So that basically we're lowering this structure by approximately 3 feet. Well, it'd be 3 feet. And that would be made up with retainage between the house and the pool. And how they want to do that, I'm not terribly concerned with. It's not going to be visible from Duke's Road nor from any other point.
Vestal.
So that's just, I wanted to be very specific. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Has anyone said their piece on this one? And if so, should we make a motion?
I'll make a motion to hold for revisions.
May I second that for discussion?
Sure.
Me too.
Abby, would you consider a modification to that amendment to make revisions to lower the grade at the pool area and the primary areas of the guest cottage by 3 feet?
Lower
that grade. So we're not having a repeat of what we've been doing with the main house. I want to get, if we.
push the guest cottage.
No,
closer.
lower, as I just said, lower this grade. So such that this corner at the floor level is 8 inches above here. So they're lowering this section by 3 feet. So we're not going back and forth on what we have as a material concern as a consensus item.
Yeah, let me retract my motion, please.
Okay.
Excuse me, can I ask a
Minute, please.
question?
Motion on the floor.
You're
Angus,
right. Go ahead.
Before you retract, can we get Angus's comment?
Please.
Oh, I was going to also include a north elevation, kind of like this, that shows not just the guest house, but then the main house behind it and the pool level in relation to it, just to get sort of a Duke's Road perspective of this would be helpful.
So, go ahead, Mr. Chair, sorry.
Well, let's see. So Abby, I think you've retracted your motion, correct?
Correct.
Just to be clear. Now, did I understand that Uri had a question mixed in there?
I wanted to ask if we lower the house, as I show here, 33-foot 10 first floor elevation, if we lower it to, the guest house, lower it to 30 feet, 10 inches.
Well, that's what Stephen's recommending.
It would be drop the 3 feet. This retaining wall over here would be reduced to minimum. Would that be approvable that way? Can we do?
Well, so Uri, that's actually an interesting question because Stephen's addition to the motion to hold for revisions was, I believe, on his part, a clarification of what was supposed to be revised. But if that's all we're doing, if the extent of the revision, quote unquote, is to drop everything down 3 feet, that's kind of sort of gets more complicated. I was going to say it's almost like an Exhibit A type arrangement. But listen, we haven't approved the main house just yet. I think that, like the main house, we're striving to give a really clear mandate as to what is going to be an acceptable revision to make. Stephen, do you want to just try and encapsulate that? And I know how you're going to do it, in a motion.
Sure. So the motion is that to hold for revisions, one of the revisions being to lower the plateau from 33 feet 10 3/4 to 30 feet 10 3/4, thereby dropping the coping and the guest house structure, lowering that 3 feet as shown in the cross section, and to modify the hardscape plan appropriately to address that. And we don't have to make a motion on this, to track the hardscape pool.
Okay. That
No
sounds.
comments about the hardscape at this time.
We're gonna
The
review
hardscape's
hardscape at a
going
later
for
date.
later, so let's
Take the trees
hold
off
our
at the
fire
office.
on that one. Okay, so on Stephen's motion, Angus.
No, I think it needs to go lower than 36 inches. So no.
Oh, okay, so you're not in favor. Okay, fair enough. Abby.
I'd have to see it. So I'm in favor of revisions and finding a different grade that's not so steep on the Dukeside Road, but yeah, I mean,
May I rephrase my motion, Mr.
Yeah,
Chair?
yeah, sure.
To include to do all that work to show the option at 3 feet, so that thereby we are eliminating any interpretation or potential interpretation that 3 feet is the solution. We want to see it at 3 feet. There seems to be support for 3 feet.
Well said, Stephen. Okay. So Angus, given the revision to the motion, are you now in favor of it?
We're going to look at an option.
An option of 3 feet. Sure.
Yeah, so, yeah, basically he's saying, go ahead.
Can I add to that we also see an option with the relation of the ridge to grade that we have with the main house?
Sure. Stephen, are you okay putting that in your motion?
I am, and what I'll do is I'll just restate it for the minutes makers, but I'm not sure what Angus is asking.
So you see.
Oh, you're talking about elevation view.
The existing grade in relation to the first floor joists would be the same with the guest house as it is. Can we scoot the picture over just a smidge to the left? Yeah, so see this relation here underneath the ridge? So that it would be the same thing over here. So that the grade would be the same sort of relation to the floor there.
Oh, so you're saying an option that shows the relationship of the existing grade to the main house at the center ridge line, that actual proportional measure as an option versus 3 feet.
For the guest house.
For the guest house.
Yeah.
Are you catching that, Uri?
Yeah.
So basically he wants to see whatever the dimension is, that this point is basically the finished floor is like 2 feet of maybe less than 2 feet.
To first floor or to the
Here,
ridge?
so what Angus wants to see is the motion is 3 feet. And what he wants to see in addition is that the difference between the finished floor and the existing grade at the center line is the same here.
Yeah.
So you have two options to present. And then what we're going to be able to look at is a hardscape modification that shows what the result of that grade change is. And then we'll make a determination from there. Make sense?
Okay.
I don't know how the heck HE double toothpicks, I'm going to say that one, but I think what we're looking for are we're looking to review options the motion is to hold for revisions, to review options with respect to the elevation and elevation with respect to existing grade. And one is option one is to lower the currently shown existing grade at the pool area 3 feet and also lower the pool and the guest house the same amount. And option two is to replicate the difference in grade at the main house at the center line of the gable and the existing grade. And that would be option two.
Okay, that's Stephen's motion. So clear the decks because I'm going to take a vote on that motion. All right. Angus on that motion.
Aye.
Very good. Abby.
Aye.
Thank you, Connie.
Aye.
Stephen.
Aye.
And I'm in favor. There we go. Okay. And somewhere in Stephen's protracted motion, there was something that said, and the landscape hardscape application to track.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, folks. Thanks. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
We're good. All right. Let's see. What time is it? Whew.
Almost time for me to go have cabbage.
Yeah. Right. 4 North Water.
Oh, yes, hang on one second, Mr. Chair. Matt?
Breathe again.
Can we have another cookie?
Yeah, Matt's gonna show us.
Thanks. Sorry about that.
Okay, folks, myself, Chair, Abby, Connie, Angus. Is Joe Paul on Zoom?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So Joe, you're going to be on this.
Okay, with your permission, I can start, Mr. Chair.
Oh, please.
So,
Oh,
we
yeah.
were before you previously for some minor window revisions towards the back of the property. I think that we were really just focused on the profile of this small chimney towards the rear of the existing structure. And the board had requested that we drop it or reduce the dimension of it to its minimum size possible, and then also emulate the existing chimney cap. And so that is what we have done, and I can zoom in on it. One other thing I did want to point out is that because the rear addition is not perpendicular and parallel to the main body of the historic Gothic revival section, you kind of see it at an angle. So we provided this orthogonal view as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, great. Is Mickey around? Does he want to speak on this one?
Yes, I am here.
Okay. Hi.
Yeah, thank you, Ray. I'll be brief. It's in the elevations, the chimney just looks kind of fat and squat and short. And if I even wonder if it's meeting the code in terms of height above the ridge next to it. But if it could be narrower, taller, and I would personally rather see it simplified, not have that detail on the top, just to make it disappear as much as possible. Very little corbelling, simplified as much as possible. That's it. Thanks.
Mickey, thank you. I'm going to guess that there aren't any neighbors or anything on this one. So let's see. The board, Abby, Connie, Angus, and Joe. Anybody want to start?
I'm happy to
This is
start.
Joe. I could go.
Are you okay with that, Angus? I heard you in there.
Oh, fine. Yeah.
Okay, Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was going to say I agree with what Mickey said, and even regarding the code height. I could see this chimney omitting the cap and those, we'll call them those 3 little pillars that are supporting it, and just go with the corbelled portion and just stretch it up to the height that's shown, including the cap, if that makes sense. I think actually lengthening it will help it proportionally, and I don't think it needs to compete with the main chimney on the building. Thanks.
Okay, Joe, thanks. Angus.
Yeah, I'm with the simplify. But also, I don't know how much it shrank from the last time that we were asking for it um, to shrink. But when you look at like at the front elevation, from the street side, the east elevation, you have this very stylized building with a chimney to go with. But then as these additions go to the back, they get very simple and mundane. And I think the chimney needs to reflect that. I mean, I wouldn't have an issue with a 20 by 20 straight run, even without any corbelling, but it still needs to get smaller and much more simplified. Thank you.
Angus, thank you. Let's see, Abby, Connie.
Yeah, I have nothing to add.
Okay.
Well,
I agree with what's been, sorry.
Yeah, I agree as well. Too short, too squat. Make it a little corbelling at the top.
Ray, am I not on this? It's Val. I'm listed.
From what crossed you out? Because I didn't know that you were here.
Oh, sorry.
Well, let's see. We can sort this out, but okay, so you're there, you're on it. My mistake. Go ahead, tell us what you think.
I think it's fine. Just eliminate the little top cap, and I think it would be proportional to what's there, and we're not going to really even notice it.
Okay, Val, thank you. All right, so for what it's worth, I believe that if it gets a little bit longer, it won't feel so squat, so wide. I think that was Joe that first mentioned that. And simplify. Those are my two things. Should we hold it for some small revisions?
I was going to offer, Mr. Chair, to like increase the height by a foot and just simplify the cap to be commensurate with the architectural language of the rear L.
You mean as an exhibit A?
I could draw something or somebody.
Well,
here
let's how does the board feel about that?
I'd be fine with that.
Me too.
Yeah, okay,
Mhm.
so let's do an exhibit A. Does somebody?
I'll do one.
Thank you.
Val.
Okay, so just making sure here, the consensus view is we're going to get it a little bit longer and we're going to simplify it, correct?
Yes.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Through an exhibit A. On that, who made that motion, by the way?
I did, Val.
Okay, Val made that motion. Joe, I'm sorry, I'm going to bump you simply because I didn't realize that Val was here. So on Val's motion, Angus.
Aye.
Connie.
Aye.
Abby.
Aye.
Val.
Aye.
And I'm in favor. Okay, there you go.
Thank you all very much.
All right, next up, we're to old business of 317. Thank goodness. And thank goodness also that Stephen's chairing this one and the rest.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, God,
All right, let's see. Which one did you say? Oh, 2 South Shore?
Too short.
Yes.
2 Shore. 2 Shore or not to shore? Often the.
And this is Val. I'm helping Warren with this. He's taken over as agent. He is the mover, builder, etc.
Here to look pretty.
As you always do. Sarah.
Yeah, what do you want?
I have some copies of pictures. I didn't know if people had a chance to go over there. So these are pictures of many vantage points of the building that's there. And coincidentally, hopefully you got to go by and see, Warren already moved the structure and it's there. And I think you'll see the visibility is pretty minimal.
The pictures that you're looking at too are pictures of the actual height that it will be sitting at when it's in compliance with the flood stage.
Good point. I forgot to say that.
Mr.
I am chairing,
You're
and
chair-
would you like to ask a question? now?
Yes, are we doing the pool and spa? Are we doing the move on and the move?
I think let's do the move on.
The move on has already occurred. That was a separate application.
Oh, that was approved?
Yeah.
Oh, well, look at
And
that.
it
We're
moved,
looking at the
which is
addition.
why it's there.
Okay.
So move on in addition.
Just the addition. The move on's been approved. I guess I missed it.
Just to clarify, so sorry. The building moved on is the addition, and what I guess we need to have you guys review is how it's gonna sit in conjunction with the building that's there. But it's good that it's already set there in some way.
And the way that the building is sitting right there, if you look at Paul Santos's survey, that's the only way that it could sit on the lot. That's why it is the way it's sitting. We had to move that 14 by 26 bump out back because of the angle of the lot on the south side.
Okay, so I want to clarify a couple things. First, give you my full focus. Number one, your board is myself, Ray, Abby, Angus, and Joe. Connie is an alternate. Number two, I think it's important to clarify the structure has been moved on. This isn't to be pointed, but to make the point. It has not been approved as an addition. We are here to review the orientation of the move on as an addition to the existing structure. So that's where we are. That's our charge. Does anyone have any questions on what we're reviewing before we get into any other questions?
I just want to clarify what we're seeing in that photograph in the bottom left corner of what's up on the screen now are the new ridge heights once the building is moved up out of the floodplain.
If you didn't get this packet of.
Well, wait, Val. Hold on one sec. That's an important question. I want to get the answer.
Yes.
I know, but I want to get the answer though. Warren.
I can answer that. I put up the poles. They are at the elevation when they are out of the floodplain, and conforming to the new FEMA map.
Okay.
And Paul Santos, I believe he might be on this call too. He's the one that did all the Concom work.
Okay, and before we get into launching additional discussion, I think we've got a handle on it. Nothing on Paul, but I don't want to go too far into details yet that we may not need to get in at all. But the post heights are what, Val? Warren, the post heights are what the ridge heights will be.
Yes.
And the location of the addition is largely as it is in the images on the site currently. It's just on cribbing.
Correct, except for the 14 by 26 will be a little less visible because we can't push it in because it's everything's kind of like, I got a foot gap in between the main house.
Gotcha.
I cut the main house into two pieces, so there's a foot gap there, and then the addition, the 14 by 26 also has a gap, so until it all like gets sucked together, there's a little bit of play right there.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
So just to
Angus.
follow up, so I understand with the house where the poles are put up, that's the proposed height, but the pieces that have been moved to the south of it from Washington Street, what elevation are they in relation to where they'll end up? Are they?
Those are the poles that are on the pictures. I put those on the building as well. All those poles are in.
Warren, I want to follow up on that quick before because Angus, I want to get to the heart of it.
It's going to be the height.
Warren, the move on is actually on cribbing, which represents approximately the height of the foundation, and therefore there aren't posts on that particular structure because it's at the height it will be approximately.
Right.
I want to make sure
Yep.
It's on cribbing, but it's very
I was
close.
obviously down there and I looked at it. So that's why I have some information you all don't. Okay, any other questions? Okay, on the merits of the proposed architecture, does anyone have any concerns?
I do.
Okay, Abby?
Stephen, can I comment?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Mickey.
Thank you. Okay, so I want to start with a question, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Is the addition has been moved over? Is the roof of the addition going to be removed and then rebuilt in a higher, like, is the ridge going to get higher on the addition as the roof is redone?
We had no plans on changing it because we wanted to try and move forward with the project. But on the existing building from 92, they do have 7-foot walls. It would be nice if we could come back later and ask to move the first floor walls up to 1 foot, but save the roof, save everything, save as much as possible.
Okay, well, I'm looking at the drawings, specifically the east elevation. Could we scroll to the east elevation? There you go. Good. Thank you. So that's the structure, the mass to the left is the addition, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and that's the profile of that addition is what is currently existing today.
That is correct. That is the
Okay.
way it's sitting on the property right now. Besides that 14 by 26 little bump out towards the closest to us.
Right. So the ridge
within
is not
half.
getting any taller than it currently is now.
No.
Okay, but just the dormers are new, right? The dormers on both sides?
There's a shed dormer on the ocean facing side. I believe that's the east side.
Okay.
There's a shed dormer. But she would like to change those to doghouse dormers, it looks
Got it.
like.
Okay, so you can see that when you look at this elevation, that the ridge of the addition is roughly around the same height as the the ridge of the secondary mass on the main house to the right. So those are roughly around the same height. Now scrolled up the screen up to the south elevation, please. Okay, so you see what I'm getting at here. The ridge of the addition is shown much lower than the ridge of the secondary mass on the main house. In fact, it's also forcing the dormer ridges to go higher than the proposed ridge, which is pretty awkward actually. So the drawings, I really think the drawings need to be shown accurately, so that we know what really we're getting here, because this doesn't represent it. Both sides, the north and the south, have the same issue. So moving on from that. Okay, so the other concern that we had was even though we're not applying for the pool, the deck is being applied for in this application. And the deck, is, I actually do think that the deck will be somewhat visible from Washington Street Extension as you look around the Salt Marsh Center. It's a massive deck. And it's continuous all across that one side of the property, one line down all the way on that. If you were to look at the north elevation, that's one big long line. There it is. They're flush all the way across. So, that really should be broken up. That deck needs to be reduced to some degree. And
There is, looks like there is a mistake in that elevation. There is a set of steps. There is a jog in that step where the house from 92 meets the house on Shore Road. There is a set of steps right there at the where the two buildings come together. There is a set of steps that would be coming down. So that's not one straight line. I'm not sure if that is shown clearly on any of the elevations.
Yeah, Warren, I think I know what you're talking about there. All right, so those are my comments. It's mostly to do with the ridge height. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Thanks, Mickey. Let's jump right into concerns on approvability. Please be specific and succinct.
I can go if you're ready.
Abby.
Yeah, so I'm all in favor of saving houses. but not to over developing a lot, which I feel this does. If you're standing in the Salt Marsh parking lot and you look right back at this, it takes up that whole lot. So that's all you're going to see. And it's just it's going to be a very long building, and that's all you're going to see. You'll see the privet on one side of the parking lot, but then this is what you'll see. I think, you know, I'm not really sure how to adjust this, but I think the decking is a problem. I think the a pool there is a problem. And I'd like to see somehow the whole massing of this, or the three massings, reduced somehow, because it's overwhelming the lot. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm gonna have you guys hold because we want to get comments and then we'll go from there. Angus?
Yeah, I agree with this overwhelming the lot. Also, if you're looking from Washington Street extension and in the Salt Marsh Center, what you see to the right of this, or to the north, would be along Francis Street, are one-story structures that are close to grade, and then across Francis Street are one to 1.5 story. Even the raised ones just feel like doll houses compared to this, as is. But then when it's raised as proposed, that's yet another 3 feet. So it's not just overwhelming in footprint, but also the height. And so I agree as well that it makes sense to make use of existing structures that are moving, and that's fine. But I think in that area, the only way that I would be thinking that this would be appropriate is to keep those new additions as low as possible, so that the focus really is on the existing structure. So the gable dormers are too high and imposing. It looks like they're actually going higher than the ridge that they run into in that north elevation. And I agree with the deck. The guidelines are pretty clear about integrating them into the footprint of the structure. So if this has got projecting pieces on either side of where the addition is. So can we go to that north elevation, please? So yeah, there, when you come down, just there. Yeah. So this is projecting forward. That's projecting forward. This is where a deck would naturally go. And not much further out from these, certainly no more than 8 feet. And so just the continuous line here, this long horizontal line, this mass and this being up that high, that poking out, it is overwhelming in scale. And so I would look to that to get reduced in a way that this becomes the focus of what's existing. And this eave would lower, and that would be simplified so that it doesn't read as a whole nother second floor in line with that part. Thank you.
Okay, Ray?
Well, I think the other board members have pretty much covered my concerns, you know, regarding scale, amount of decking, etc. I won't reiterate that. Thank you.
Thanks. Let's see, Joe?
Sure. I guess if you stay here on the north, I think most of my comments, we can use this elevation. So the mass on the far left, which is on the south elevation, is a gable, and then it transitions to this eave forward. I appreciate that that whole mass was dropped from 2 stories down to 1. I think it could just be a gable that runs straight through. And I would suggest that the gable on the north elevation terminates in windows and not another set of French doors. Maybe the French doors are around the corner, and that gives you an opportunity to pull this deck all the way from the far left, and maybe you pull it over to the other corner board of that, and you access that main deck another way. That's just an opportunity to reduce the deck. I think the gable dormers have been touched upon. One thing that jumped out to me is that they're a 10 pitch and the other gables in this are 7s. I think if you change the roof pitch and maybe lower the eave on these, that they certainly wouldn't pop up against the other ridge. And I agree with Mickey in checking to make sure that that main ridge height there is is accurate, because I think having the ridge difference as shown is helpful. The other thing that occurred to me is that on the far right, you've got this shed mass that faces the street, which I think was a porch that got infilled. And it made me wonder whether or not, I don't know if you're gaining anything by having that cheek wall. I think that could be a hip roof. I mean, overall, I think it's large on the lot, giving some latitude because it's a moved structure. I mean, I think if that mass on the far left went away entirely, then that would go a long way towards diminishing the overall length. But maybe you start by making a massing adjustment and simplifying the roof. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Can we go to the site plan, please? All right, so my concerns are, I know we are gonna look at the pool hardscape next. Right? No, we're looking at in-deck pool. We're not looking at the hardscape. That's a concern for me because this type of a structure in this location needs parking. Parking isn't being addressed. So
Whoa.
I have just some concern about that. But my primary concern is the programming on the lot. I've been down there, I looked at this. I agree with I agree with much of what has been said, in particular Joe's comment with that small addition at the lower portion of the page. It makes this read, it's that little extra bit that kind of takes it over the top. Didn't realize when I was down there that was part of this. I think the addition being moved on and being attached is approvable. I think the overall mass, when you take that into consideration, when you take the small bump out add-on into consideration as viewed from Washington, and all that deck it's too much. For me, it is either the addition and the bump out, and that whole deck area goes away except for a small amount by the first floor French doors that extends from this corner of the bump out of the first floor add-on across, and that's it. I think that can we go to the north elevation? The reason I say that is that this structure and this location appears to be more like a commercial structure with a tremendous amount of deck space, and it's part of the problem isn't that that's the only potential, how do I want to say this? It's a negative attribute in my mind in terms of appropriateness. It's kind of taken over the top by the width left to right of the structure with the move on addition and the bump out addition. It's just way too much. I would feel a little less strongly about limiting the extent of the deck if the bump out wasn't all the way over on the left. You're cutting down on the left to right view, you're cutting down on the amount of deck left to right. Naturally, you're cutting down on the depth of the deck away from the home, which isn't showing up in the 2D elevation, but will show up in a perspective view from the street. And that is an open parking lot at Salt Marsh. I don't know, that the town has plans to do anything there. I'd be concerned about relying on vegetative screening because of the, it's in a water wash plain, salt water wash. So I think those are primarily my concerns. And just to quickly restate, move on addition is good. There has to be a dramatic change in the deck at the rear on the north. And part of that, the extent of that change relates to whether that bump out is added on the far left for me. I do want to see, and I think it's appropriate for us to request the hardscape plan. And I would ask that we would hold or track the pool until we get better clarity on what the massing is going to look like and what effects it will have on the deck at the rear. What do you want to do, folks? Do we got a motion?
So should we hold this for revisions and hold the pool to track?
You're going to do it in Exhibit A otherwise?
I don't think so.
Right.
I would second that, just to add that, to have more information and more accurate information.
Oh, thank you. I want to second it too, because there's a comment I wanted to make. Can we go to the south elevation? I want to say something, a comment was made earlier, I'm not sure who said it, about the ridge heights being closer together. Obviously, this elevation shows something different than the side elevation. I'm not sure which one it was.
So the ridge heights, when the main house gets lifted into compliance, it's definitely higher than the ridge on the.
So what we need these all the elevations to coincide so that they're accurate, so that the relative ridge height of the addition and the main house on each drawing is the same, but also accurate. The other thing I wanted to ask a question on before we moved on, because it goes to accuracy of drawings. The addition is showing about 9 inches higher than the main house. If you look at the shingle line here, and I didn't know, it appears to translate that it's actually lower by the door threshold than the main house. So there's another incongruity there that needs to be addressed in the drawings. I just want to point it out while we're here because I don't want you guys to go through all the trouble of making changes and we still haven't addressed that. So that was my comment on the second. We have a motion.
Yes.
And on your motion, Abby.
I'm an aye.
Angus.
Aye.
Ray.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. And as we said, we'll have the pool track. You good?
We will pass on the information to the drawers.
Okay, cool. Thank you. We're gonna move to, I just want to remind everyone, we wrap up, we adjourn at 7 p.m. We are on to 10 Meadowview Drive.
Mr. Chair,
No.
Carrie's online, but I think Luke presented this last time.
Carrie, are you gonna represent?
I'm not really familiar with this one.
I don't see Luke here.
I don't think he is.
Well, normally we hold for a half an hour. He'd have 10 minutes if he got here at 10 to 7.
Yeah, I have no idea where he is.
Okay.
We could try it. Did he make revisions for you? I do know this project was one that Zoki brought in with hand drawings and the dormers were really strange. And Luke since was asked to draw it where it, sort of conformed. Did he get to describe it before?
I don't know that we really recall what the specifics were. I mean, when we see the drawings, we'll have a recognition, but
Yeah, because it's an existing house and he's adding dormers on the front.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Does anybody recall this?
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, Carrie, are you comfortable with representing it, or do you want to hold?
Yeah, well, I do see what he's done. And just having heard, 5 seconds of the conversation, he went from double units in each dormer to individual single windows in each dormer. And he's reduced the dormer by, it looks like about a foot.
Yep.
Each
And now I
dormer.
recall it.
And that's it.
All right. And so we're going to hear this one. Ray, why don't you go first?
I'm fine. The applicant has done what we requested.
Perfect. Does anyone have any concerns with what's been proposed?
No.
No.
Would someone care to please make a motion?
Motion to approve as submitted.
Jinx.
Excellent. On your motion, Angus.
Aye.
Abby?
Aye.
Oh, I thought you guys could motion in concert. Val?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Carrie, wow, you're super good at this.
Thank you. Luke
Yeah.
appreciates it. He'll be
Okay, now-
surprised that it was even on there. Okay. Bye.
Worked out well. Thank you for
First one.
representing.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to 94 Halbert. Good evening, Steve.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
Ray has his hand up.
Ray, are you?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Is that a
was-
holdover
that
hand
was-
up?
Yeah, I'm gonna lower. That was to motion for approval on the last one. Thanks.
Mr. Rothke.
Good evening, Commissioners. I think this is an easy one, if I don't say so myself. This project was held for a minor revision to what were 2 windows in a second floor north-facing dormer. And I proposed to make it 3 windows in a proposed north-facing shed dormer. We also kind of moved this one to tonight pending approval from the Conservation Commission, which is not necessarily related to this board, but at the time I asked you if you could be a little bit patient. I have since received my approval from the Conservation Commission that now ratifies from a conservation standpoint the design before you tonight, inclusive of the one minor revision I made to the windows on the north-facing shed dormer.
Okay. Can we go to the elevations, please?
Might be help. I think if you just go to the north elevation, it'll tell the whole story. Little further. Little further. There she is. Yep. So it's that shed dormer, second floor to the right side of the drawing. It had 2 windows. We made it 3. The comment was that it seemed like there was not quite
Yeah.
enough fenestration for 2 out of a dormer.
Okay. Let's see, does anyone have any concerns? The board is myself, Ray, Abby, Angus, and Joe.
No.
I was
Mr.
on this, this was on my consent list and I wanted to put it on consent. So plus the changing the 3 windows, I'm still fine with it.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any concerns, or can I please have a motion?
Motion to approve as submitted.
On your motion?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Abby?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Stephen. Let's see, that moves us on to 8 Cato Lane. Do we have,
Mr. Chair, he's online and he's joining as panelist. Rich, did you want to screen share? Rich? Yeah, so a screen share.
cabbage and corned beef are calling?
So Mr. Chair, he's
Yeah.
all set.
All right, Rich, when you're ready. Made it at home.
All day long.
It's in a crock pot. Rich, you ready?
Oh, my.
No?
8 and 10.
Is he not?
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay,
Sorry.
good. All right, let's roll.
Can you see my screen?
We can.
Okay. Good evening. So the last time we met, these were submitted as individual projects, similar to the house. Right now we're talking about the landscape or hardscape and pool. The request last time was to show both properties on the same plan, which you see here. We've modified the plan slightly. We've reoriented the pool for a simple fact that we found out that the zoning in this particular area, which is, I think, let's just see. We are zoning R-5L, which is a little interesting zoning, which requires an additional 10-foot setback for the pool. So the property itself has two 10-foot setbacks, front and one of the sides. The rear's 5. The addition that we found out since the last meeting in the blue line here is a 10-foot setback that is a requirement for this zoning based on the size of the lot, which is 7,500 square feet. So with that said, we rotated the pool 90 degrees because the pool on number 10 would have been like 20 feet by like 14, which we felt was a little bit small. These are very similar houses, similar landscapes. The conversation last time was you wanted to see some cross sections. So I have a cross section AA that looks in the backyard looking at the houses, and then more importantly, a cross section which shows the grade change. That was a big concern last time. So the lot itself is relative. We're grading it to be relatively flat all the way across, with the exception of where it drops off, where we have a 48-inch retaining wall. This section doesn't really show it very well. This section, however, does. So you have the existing building here. You got a little deck, a sloped walkway to the pool, and then we've got a sloped lawn down to a timber wall. The fence is on top of it. We pulled the timber wall 18 inches off of the property line so that we can put plantings from the property line to the wall, and then we put the fence on top with plantings as well. So if I go back to this plan here, you'll see that there's 18 inches of a planting bed basically along this whole property line right here. Land bank owns this back corner. So the conversation was that you guys did not want to see a pressure treated retaining wall. So we moved that inward and planted in front of it to help. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Thanks, Rich. Before we go to questions, can you bring up that cross section as guys? Go back once, please, to the site plan.
Yep.
I just want everybody to be on the same page in case there was a question. Can you flip back to the site plan, Rich?
Sure. So this section is this red line here, which is looking back at the houses. So it's in reverse, right? So 10 is right here, number 8 is right here in the cross section.
Rich, hold on.
Yep.
We actually want to look at the other cross section.
Okay.
That's the one. Okay, so that runs from the land bank property to the pool.
Correct.
Okay, does anyone have any questions at this point? Okay. Ray.
I think I'm okay with this. Mr. Building Inspector, isn't there some rule about like a 4-foot wall has to respect the setback?
4 foot or greater can't be in the setback.
Yeah, wouldn't this be in the setback?
I believe it would be, but
And it's 4 feet. I mean, it could be less than 4 feet and then therefore be okay, but.
yeah. Well, basically the definition revolves around what constitutes a structure, and a retaining wall greater than 4 feet is a structure because it's not only the exposed portion, but what's below grade. And once it's a structure, it's technically not supposed to be within the setback. I am not, however, functioning as the chief zoning officer.
I know.
And some of these, but it's an important distinction, and I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to mention my concern about the height of it in any regard.
Yeah. So, but putting my HCC hat back on. I think that it's fine in terms of, do we know what's being planted on the bottom side of that? Rich?
I have not come up with a planting plan yet, but I'm happy to take some
I
suggestions.
mean, I'd be fine with this as long as the vegetation was such that, you know, on a year-round basis, we wouldn't be looking at a pressure treated retaining wall.
Sure. So we can definitely note a evergreen plant of some sort that would cover that wall.
Okay. That's it.
Okay, that's Ray. Angus?
Yeah, I have real reservations about this plateau and all the fill going in. It looks like, I mean, there's a significant amount of land that's getting filled in. It looks like 4 feet. And to take a natural landscape that is public land, the land bank land, to put a wall along it to retain 4 feet of elevation is um, would definitely be out of character, and 18 inches is way too little to hide that. And I can't imagine anything worse than just a 4-foot high evergreen wall, one straight line going all along the the property line border with the land bank. So that's my primary concern here. The rest of it is, I mean, it's a lot of bluestone coverage of an already crowded lot because of the house. But the grading is my biggest issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, Joe?
Oh, am I on this? Because I did have an
no, I'm
idea.
sorry, Connie. You were on the
Oh.
last one. Connie?
So my concern, other than the grading, was also what Angus just mentioned about the bluestone. There seems to be quite a lot of it right up to the setback of the lot line. So those are my 2 concerns also. Thank you.
Thank you. Abby?
Yeah, I'd rather see the retaining wall reduced by half of that and the pool brought in and less bluestone and just have the natural landscape just taper down towards the back. You're going to have, both lots are going to have the retaining wall of 4 feet. So it's going to be 8 and 10. And that's quite a bit. So there's not a lot of natural vegetation left on this site. So I would reduce the hardscaping.
Mr. Chairman, can I make an unofficial comment?
Sure, go ahead.
And I'm saying this because I think it might be helpful to everybody. What if the fence actually was at the bottom and went up and covered or hid that wall? That way the neighbors see a fence and the grade change that happens on the other side of it is completely concealed. So you basically are hiding the retainage with a fence material. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. So yeah, I think the concerns I have, and Joe brings up an interesting potential solution, but also a potential problem. And the problem isn't an HDC issue, but a fence in front of a wood retaining wall is problematic. And it's problematic for the HDC because if we were to vote that the pool not be visible from the time of inspection thereafter, and part of our solution were to approve a retaining wall as part of the topography change, and a wooden retaining wall and a fence. As we know with carpenter ants and whatnot, that retaining wall is going to need to be replaced, and we are going to be in a position where compelling that modification will be difficult given our finding scheme and enforcement issues. And so I'm not comfortable with that solution. If that were, however, a poured concrete retaining wall, and that were made invisible by a fence subject to planting every other section, I might be more inclined individually. I also would want to see plantings around the perimeter of the lot on the interior so that the pool is not visible. The fence is, if you put a 6-foot fence there and the pool is still going to be maybe 1.5 feet below it, so you're going to see people walking around. Maybe you'll see the pool. That's really my concern, not the people walking around in their bathing suits. There's no law against that. So I think for the solution for me that helps to address some of those concerns and mitigate the extent to which visual screening is required is to do something similar to what we did at 85 Vestal. And that's to lower the platform upon which the pool sits and the rear yard is by increasing the number of steps in the transition space from the house to the yard and the pool. And I think, if that went down 18 inches to 24 inches, that helps to reduce the retaining wall. It helps to make the fence, if there's a concrete retaining wall used, it helps to make the fence on the outside of the concrete retaining wall more beneficial with respect to blocking the visibility of the pool. And that could be supplemented effectively by, like a horn beam or a oak sentry type columnar planting around from the perimeter of the rear yard from the land bank. Those are my thoughts, and it'll be the same on the next one.
Yeah, and can I point?
Yeah,
something?
please.
I just want to say that the retaining wall and the fencing also is between the two properties going down the street of Cato Lane. It makes that corner as well, so it's not just the back.
So can I just say one thing, that if you go there, like there's an existing 6-foot fence on the neighbor's property right on the property line, and then it turns. So when you're in the land bank, you're looking right at a 6-foot board fence. So that already exists today.
Between the properties.
Yeah, so see this where it says existing stockade fence between 33.5.
Right.
And these two properties, there's an existing 6-foot fence that runs all the way down the property to the corner and then turns. So the land bank is looking at a 6-foot existing board fence.
Right. So, and Rich, I appreciate that, but there's two things in relation to that. One is, and a primary concern, I think initially the point is the grade change behind the fence you're proposing. So we're looking at ways to address long-term visual mitigation. And the other is, three things. We don't know the status of the approval of that fence. And thirdly, we're adding fence. So whatever the visual effect is magnified. So I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, I don't know that an existing fence there helps the case. Because it actually is, you're proposing an expansion of fence as opposed to something else. So, in any event, I think we're at a point where we're not doing an exhibit A. And I think what I'd like to do is get some consensus from the members so that applicant's agent is not spinning their wheels. What are their thoughts on the concept of pursuing this similar to 85 Vestal, for or against? Are there thoughts on, I think, Joe's concept of putting the retaining wall behind a fence and then treating that with vegetative screening? And then if there's support for both of those, I think the question is, what would we want the rear yard top of pool finish to be reduced in height by relative to sea level?
Can I offer one recommendation?
Wait, Rick. Rich, I want to get an idea where we are. And then if you want to bring an option in, that's totally cool too. But we've identified certain concerns, and it seems like there's limited number of solutions. So I want to get an idea of where we are on which solutions are most appropriate. Oh, Ray, go ahead.
Yeah, so the fence, I was just checking that, is this an auto cover?
No, not right now. That's why
Which
there
is, which is why the fence is going there, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so then I don't think that the whole thing about, well, I'm not really sure. The 4 feet fence on the downside, you know, I kind of want to discard that idea, although I think there's some merit to it. I'm back to the idea of I'm okay with this, assuming that the building department is okay with it, A, and B, that it's properly screened from the land bank.
Okay, yeah, and I think where the consensus is that the retaining wall is too tall as it is. And therefore we're looking for solutions that may be palatable. And so far we've got 2 people who think a fence may be an appropriate solution. Not only to block the retaining wall, but also to help mitigate or meet the not visible time of inspection or thereafter requirement on the pool. So I'm kind of looking to Angus and Abby to see if they have a feeling of appropriateness one way or the other on the fence hiding the retaining wall after lowering the grade or lowering the grade. And if so, some specifics.
So what doesn't work for me with a fence, if it's a, a heavily developed area where you can sort of mitigate the terracing and so forth. But I'm just visualizing being in the land bank property and it appearing that someone is standing, 6 inches from the top of a 5-foot fence or a 4-foot fence, like they're walking on air just because of the fill behind it. It seems unnatural, and just the idea of the wall itself. That fence in front of a wall, I'm not sure would be as successful as planting, but there needs to be room for natural planting and variation rather than just a wall 18 inches thick of evergreen. And likewise, what would help with this transition is landscaping more of the space between where the pool is and the property line. Because right now what I'm picturing is just like lawn up to the wall and then this drop and into the land bank.
Okay, let me tease that out before we move to Abby, because I don't want to have spent time on this and then we get to the point where we don't really get to where we need to be. You had mentioned people, 6 walking around as if they're almost floating on the fence. That speaks to lowering the grade. And what is your thought on lowering the grade in terms of quantification?
I would say that it doesn't, the fill doesn't want to be any more than a couple of feet. And right now it looks like it's 4 feet of fill.
So approximately 2 feet.
Yeah.
Okay. And then just to restate what you said, I love when Ray does this for me. Basically, the fence is not a great idea. The retaining wall should be lower. The grade should be lower. And there should be a naturalized planting buffer utilized as opposed to a line of privet along the retaining wall.
Exactly.
Okay. Abby, thoughts on that approach?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just getting tired of this, think about this before you end up with a little patch for a pool and a hardscape. Maybe reduce the house in the first place. Yes, I'm for reduction of the retaining wall, and I would reduce the hardscaping and the pool and bring it closer to the house. And do you remember what this site was like before? It was what's the guy's name? Medeiros? Yeah, it was just an open rural site next to the cemetery.
people seem to forget where they're building and it's driving me nuts.
Well, to be fair, it is a lot, and there are, property rights, but we're here to be the gatekeepers. I'm just saying I don't want that to be construed or misperceived. For instance, in the event of an appeal, like we have to sit with an open mind on what's presented. And the outside of town has slightly less restrictive guidelines. It sounds as though, and when I say it sounds as though, I'm saying it is, that we have consensus generally. Joe, do you want to add on the grade change and planting buffer, or are you good with where you were on the concept of perhaps a fence? Or are you good with both before?
I'm not sitting on it. You just allowed me to
Oh, that's right.
speak on it.
You spoke. I gotcha. Okay. So who's our Connie? Are you good? What are your thoughts on those?
I agree with
The latter approach more
Yes.
than, okay. So I think what, Rich, and I'll give you a chance to talk. What we're going to be looking for are revisions that illustrate the same set of drawings with the modifications of a 2-foot lower grade, the transition from at the pool area, and the majority of the backyard as you're proceeding towards the land bank, which lowers your retaining wall, which provides you an opportunity to volunteer vegetative buffer between the retaining wall and the pool, sufficient so that the pool is not visible at time of inspection or thereafter. And of course, if you have an alternative or alternative plans you want to present, site plan, the hardscape plan with with a section modified to reflect the alternative that you propose, we'll always be willing to look at that. But the consensus, the concern areas resolve to a limited number of solutions, which I know we have consensus on, and we're asking specifically for that revision in addition to any you want to propose so we can review them all. Okay?
Sure. Just one thing. Would the board be open to a 2-tiered wall? So pull the first wall away from the property line enough to give a more natural buffer, with a slight slope to another wall with plantings there, and then plantings on top of the wall. So you essentially have 3 rows of plantings, one from the property line to the first wall, and then you have a second wall with a planting in between, and then planting on the top. I mean, I think that would allow the pool to stay at the elevation that it needs to, but give us a tiered effect with more plantings.
Rich, I think that I'm not going to speak for the board, but I don't want to prolong this. That definitely fits squarely in we're always open to looking at options and alternatives. So if you can present what we've asked for as the primary consensus option at this point and what you've just suggested as an alternative, we'll look at them both and discuss it.
Okay.
All right. And I think to some extent, not as great of a concern, but 10 Cato is going to have similar concerns. Some of it is ameliorated by the fact that there's a neighbor and a fence. But I think what I would ask, because you're going to have 2 properties directly adjoining one another, I presume you're going to be manipulating grade in a similar way, that we would have you take a look at 10 through the lens of the discussion we had about 8. And if there's any revisions you want to propose, we'll look at both of them next time you come back.
Okay.
So we'll get a motion to hold 10 for potential revisions. Did you want to comment?
Oh, I just wanted to say, if the pool dropped 2 feet and then you either pulled the pool back towards the house and or tapered the fill from the pool down towards the property line to 0, then you don't have to have any retaining wall, and there's room to do planting and integrate fence in it and all of that, and it's all lower. I think that's going to be probably the most successful approach.
Thanks, Angus. So Rich, you got 3 options there. If you can show those, I think it would be beneficial.
Okay.
Same drawings. So get a motion to hold for a few options, including cross-sections and Rich, I think the primary cross-section we're looking for is from the land bank to Cato. So you don't have to spend a lot of time on the other ones.
Motion to hold for revisions
Okay, with 3 options.
with 3 options.
Thank you. On your motion,
Aye.
let's see, Ray,
Aye. Now,
Angus,
Aye.
we're voting on 8 now, right? Because I was going to suggest voting them together.
Oh, I can.
well, we have an open 10, so I'm gonna vote on 8 and then we're
All
gonna
right.
vote to
Okay,
track
fine. Yep.
10.
Okay.
And Rich is, I presume he's gonna make modifications that are sensitive to our comments, because otherwise we're gonna be like, what the hell happened here, Rich?
Right.
Okay, so, we voted Angus, Abby, Ray,
Aye.
Connie,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. And can we get a, motion for 10 to be equally as sensitive?
So moved.
Okay, let's see, Angus,
Aye.
Ray,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
Connie,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so now we're at the point in the meeting where we have a very important decision to make.
Ooh.
It's 6 minutes of, we have a hard stop at 7. Matt, do you want to open up 198 Hummock for the briefest of minutes, or do you want to come back and be first on the agenda at the next old business?
I'm kind of hoping to, I'd love to open it.
Okay, let's do that. I don't want to waste time then. I just wanted to ask. So we'll have time for your presentation, but, and some questions, but probably not much more.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a hard stop at 7, then we're going to pick it up again at the next meeting, just so everybody's aware. Okay, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just trying to share here. That is a screensaver that comes with Microsoft.
Oh, so cute.
I know it does, like it has owls canoodling. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Chair. So just briefly, we've made some revisions based on the board's comments. Starting with the site plan, I just want to point out that the structure is a football field distance from Hummock Pond Road. You can see that the 2 abutting properties are 196 Hummock Pond Road and 200 Hummock Pond Road. 196 is right up on the road. If you recall from the original HEC submission, the grade was raised 3 feet, and still the structure is measured 27.6 from that grade. 200 Hummock Pond Road has 2 structures. There is one very close to the road. It's a full 2-story structure. And then the main house is set back parallel to our structure. And with the most recent revisions, our structure will be shorter than the 2 abutting properties. Also, the length of 200 Hummock Pond Road is 103 feet. Our structure main dwelling is 64 feet. And there's a garage next to it. So I'll just jump right to the revisions. What we've done is we've dropped the entire structure to 1.5 stories. We've taken 1.8 feet out of the total height. We've omitted the cupola, and I think that is probably the crux of it. One other point I wanted to mention is I know that the abutter had submitted a series of photographs demonstrating or trying to demonstrate that this structure is visible, but I think it actually proved the exact opposite. If you look at those photos closely, every one of those photos, the house, the ridge is completely obstructed by the tree line. So I just don't think this is going to be visible from a public way. The photos were taken dead of winter, and still literally not one of them the ridge is not above the tree line. As far as additional revisions, we're happy to change the color to gray to match 196, and also open to the idea of adding exposed rafter tails to the rest of the elevations. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Matt. So I just want to state, I think as opposed to, we have other business before we conclude, including approving minutes and adjourning. I think in fairness to both parties, the topic of images will be picked up. That'll be the first thing we pick up. It'll be in fairness to all parties, including the board, in the review. I don't want to rush through and try and condense that into basically a minute's time. So at this point, I'd like to see, does anyone have any questions for Matt on what's been presented in the modifications or in the images? Okay. Matt, we are at 6:58 on mine, and I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask to, well, we're gonna let you know that we're gonna pick this up at the next meeting. I don't want to get into this. We have a hard stop. The agenda states no later than 7 PM. And that's by design.
Understood.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, and as far as the images, I feel like the architecture speaks for itself, and so those are less important to me. Obviously, there's been a number of exchanges between myself and the abutter,
Matt, I don't want to.
and I don't want to get into it. I've thought about it, and the architecture is what matters.
In fairness to all parties, it wouldn't be appropriate to continue discussion. Okay, so we're going to see you gentlemen at the next old business.
Okay.
First and foremost.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Can we get a motion to approve the minutes of March 11th?
Mr. Chair, actually, it should be March 10th. There was a typo.
Okay, so, and can we correct that? Make a note to ratify this change
You don't
on the
need
next
to-
one?
You don't need to do that for a minute.
Well, we're,
Through the chair, when were these presented?
I emailed them out yesterday. Did you just?
Oh, yesterday.
all right.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to read them. If
All right,
we
so
could,
we're gonna solve two problems at once.
Yeah.
One, we're gonna put these over to the next meeting. And the date of the minutes will be corrected to March 10th.
Yeah.
I mean, I read.
Thanks.
And with that, can we get a motion to adjourn? Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone.
motion to
Same.
adjourn.
Okay.
Green light. Same
Angus,
patties.
on the
Aye.
motion, it'll be all in favor, Connie will be voting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Happy
right.
St. Patty's.
Yeah, me too.
What?
Bye.
Bye.
What's that, Val? Well, Val, you know what? Some of us are gonna live that way because that's how we live our lives. We don't let other people control it. If you don't trust the system, you can vote me out as chair.
Yep.
Because we have improved dramatically over the